the 2 Glendale Freeway and the 5 South is heavy through Griffith Park, coming away from the 134 all the way down to the East LA interchange. And 101 South at Highland Avenue, an accident moving to the right.
It's a probiotic party at Whole Foods Market. Get 2 GT's kombuchas for just $5.40 with Prime through February 21st. Try every zesty, fruity flavor and your gut will thank you later. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
Is this the tether?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Utah Jazz officially waived Russell Westbrook late Monday afternoon, clearing the way for the Clippers to finalize contract talks with the 9-time NBA All-Star. Westbrook announced his intentions to sign with the Clippers after agreeing to a buyout with Utah. Chicago, Washington, and Miami were interested in Westbrook, but the 34-year-old guard preferred the Clippers. Top 5 men's college basketball teams in this week's AP rankings: Houston, Alabama, Kansas, UCLA, and Purdue. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron from Original Taco Pete's here, inviting you to our newest location at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw for Taco Tuesday, only $175. Call 323-348-4441 to order.
Hi, this is Tavis.
Tavis, this is Dr. Kane. We've got a lot to talk about. I'll be in town on the 28th of February. Can you clear your calendar?
Absolutely, Dr. King. Good Lord, do I have some questions for you, sir. Hi, it's Tavis.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother. This is Minister Malcolm. Now, I heard that you and Martin are getting together for a public dialogue on February 28th. You see, now I already know the date. Now, I know y'all not trying to keep me out of that conversation, are you?
No, sir. No, sir.
What happened to George Floyd shouldn't happen, not even to a dog. How long must the Negro continue to endure this foolishness at the hands of law enforcement? People can take but so much before they reach a breaking point. What do you mean, Black Lives Matter? Black lives haven't mattered in this country since Negroes stopped working for free at the end of slavery. You ought to be talking about Black Guns Matter and start your own NRA. Call it the Negro Revolutionary Amalgamation.
Don't miss this compelling historic radio event, The Return. When Tavis Smiley converses with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. Tuesday, February 28th, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. You're listening to You've Got to Be Hungry with Les Brown, world-renowned motivator, who continues his radio residency exclusively all month long on KBLA Talk 1580. The calendar reads Tuesday, which means that we are literally just 1 week away from the final master class being taught by Les Brown on KBLA. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. That month, well, February is a short month anyway, right? It goes by really fast, and we're down to just 1 week of these master classes, again, being taught by the brilliant and oftentimes erudite Les Brown, who we have been so delighted and so honored to have teach the very first radio residency, a master class on this station. It's an idea we came up with, and we said we'd try it out and see how it works. The response to it has been so overwhelming. I suspect in the days ahead, we'll have some other people of note who may teach for a week or a month, a master class on this station for an hour a day. And this radio residency idea may catch on. But we are just, again, humbled that the inaugural radio residency on this station has been conducted by Les Brown, and we look forward to today's lesson. After yesterday's lesson, how to find peace in the midst of the storm, today's theme is how to maintain sanity in an insane world. How to maintain sanity in an insane world. We just had a conversation about some of that with the great writer Walter Mosley, and we thank Walter for that rich last hour of dialogue. Les Brown, before we get started in today's lesson, and I yield to, as I always say, the gentleman from Liberty City in Miami, we're going to do things a bit different today. This is a question that I was fascinated by. There are a number of questions that we'll get to Les. We usually do these questions later in the conversation. By the way, if you want to ask Les a question, go to our website, KBLA1580.com. Click on the Ask Les icon. Send us your questions for Les, or go to our app and use the open mic feature and send us an audio question for Les that we might play on the air. So a couple different ways to get questions to Les Brown as he, for the next week, continues his radio residency on our station. Les, fascinating question here. It's a broad question, but it jumped out at me. And I suspect they're asking this question today in light of yesterday's class where you talked about ritual. We talked about Howard Thurman yesterday. We talked about ritual yesterday. We talked about yesterday, again, finding peace in the midst of the storm. Simple question, but straightforward. What three things, Les Brown, are you most grateful for today, right now?
I can answer that, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished meeting with an oncologist at Cancer Centers of America, and they gave me a clean bill of health. My PSA, which stands for prostate-specific antigen, was 2,400, and now it's down to 4.1 and going down below 0. So I'm grateful for that.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Won't he will?
Won't he will? Won't he will?
And I'm grateful for my children and their being thoughtful and considerate and been there for me and helping my oldest daughter, Ona, who fell and she dislocated her shoulder and broke her elbow and fractured her ankle, and just a family coming together to be supportive of her, but also praying and always saying, Dad, we know you're going to get a good report today when you go to Cancer Centers of America. And I received, as you know, their Perseverance Award for 32 years as a fourth-stage cancer conqueror. And the other thing is, I'm grateful for you and KBLA, because a lot of people, because I've been around for 52 years, they consider me a has-been. I had a guy called a brontosaur. I said, what's a brontosaur? It's a loud-talking dinosaur. I said, thank you. So those are the three things that I'm thankful for today, that I'm able to talk with you and share ideas and thoughts with people today who need some coaching, some direction, some methods and techniques of how I am now at 78. How did I get here? What did it take for me to go from being labeled educable mentally retarded, born in an abandoned building on the floor, being a foster child, adopted, labeled educable mentally retarded, and now being a global voice, transforming people from all walks of life. That is exciting for me, because it was T.D. Jakes who said,
there's no success without successors. And so now, if this next season of my life, I'm looking for 77 people that I will train and duplicate the work that I've done so that they can carry it on after I'm gone.
I love that line. There is no success without successors. Courtesy of T.D. Jakes. There is no success without successors. Let me just say you could not be any more grateful than we are about the opportunity to have you teach this master class, our very first one here on KBLA. So we are as grateful for you as you are for us. When we come forward, we will commence today's master class with Les Brown. You're listening to You've Got to Be Hungry on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Good thing we've got 3 hours.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. Today I spoke with Tatiana, a community manager for JP Morgan Chase.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Tatiana Roberts. I am a community manager for JP Morgan Chase. I have to honestly say that this has been the most fulfilling position that I've ever had, where I get to give back to the community because I saw my mom's struggles. That's really what fuels what I do to make sure that that the community has all the access to the resources that my mother didn't have.
So for the mother who's in business, what are 3 quick tips you can give to ensure that they're on the right path to accessing financial support from a bank like Chase?
Say number 1, just make sure that you're checking your credit on a consistent basis and taking action to either fix your credit, maintain your credit, or rebuild your credit. The second thing would be budget. I know that B word is kind of like ugly for, right? A lot of people don't like that B word, but it has to be done. We need to tell our money where to go. The last thing is to build a network of supporters that are going to lift you up.
The community building here in Crenshaw is that network. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
This world has its limits, but in the all-new, all-electric Nissan Ariya, you've got a world of possibilities. You can leave it all behind in serene interiors, or you can go after it with available e-Force all-wheel drive. Go your way in the all-new, all-electric Nissan Ariya. Nissan Ariya with e-Force not yet available for purchase. Expected availability early 2023, subject to change. e-Force all-wheel drive is an optional feature. e-Force cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Let us commence today's master class being taught by the master motivator, Les Brown. Today's theme is how to maintain sanity in an insane world. Les Brown.
Thank you so much. Today, I'd like to showcase the knowledge of a very brilliant sister, and I know you know this name, Frances Cress Welsing. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She was an awesome psychiatrist on racism and mental health. I'm sure you're familiar with her work.
I am indeed. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so yesterday we talked about a situation where I had a little girl ask me, "Where's your tail?" She was like 5 or 6 years of age, and I told her that I clipped it off, and she was disappointed and almost started to cry. And then I said, as her father and mother and her grandfather faces turned red as cherries in a glass of buttermilk, I said, "But it'll grow back, and I'll let you know when, okay?" And so some people say, "Well, why did you get her straight and get them straight?" And something that Dr. Welsing said, she said, we must conduct ourselves in a manner that's intelligent, that's thoughtful, and most of all, strategic in all types of situations. And I like what she said in terms of don't try positively affecting an ignorant person's life about their situation, because it can begin to adverse your life and the effect that the situation can have on your life, because they have nothing to lose. You can lose your livelihood, or you can lose your life in various situations when you get angry and you let people push your button. I have this saying, "Don't make me go there." And I mean, when I was younger, I would go there, and that meant that we give ourselves permission to go crazy in given situations. I remember at a school in Columbus, Ohio, when there were complaints from a teacher who said that my son was giving her some problems, Calvin, my oldest. And so I went to the class, and I sat in the back of the class, and I was watching and seeing whether or not he's going to conduct himself in a troubling way. But, of course, he did what he needed to do. And so she talked to me outside of the classroom, and it shocked me what she said to me. She said, he thinks he is the HNC. I said, excuse me? He thinks he's the HNC. I said, oh. And that means, now, when she said that, my mouth dropped open, Tavis. What she said to me, that your son thinks he's the head nigger in charge. I was shocked that she said this to me. And what I did, I didn't even take her on. I told my son, after the class, I said, I better not get another complaint from this lady. And he said, why, Dad? I said, she's crazy. She just told me that you think you're the head nigger in charge. She gave me the abbreviation of it. No, don't deal with crazy people. No, Alvin, please, don't deal with crazy. And I said, you just got to do what you need to do, upgrade your way in how you conduct yourself, but you got to be cautious of crazy people. And I went and talked to the principal, and he said, well, maybe we need to sit down and talk about this together. I said, there's nothing to talk about. She knows what she said. You know what she said, because I just told you. So that conversation is not going to change where she is. All I'm saying is I don't want her behavior and her attitude toward my son to have an adverse effect on the kind of education and the kind of quality of education and knowledge that he can get out of her class and out of his school. Otherwise, I'll take him out. And that's how I dealt with it. But there's situations where we have to pick our battles and be, as she said, intelligent, thoughtful, and strategic on how we move forward.
I'm listening to this notion of being strategic, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to frame this notion about being strategic, because that word is not always easy to grapple with. And obviously, this is not a one-size-fits-all conversation. People have to figure out how to be strategic in their own lives and the moves that they're making as they try to advance themselves. But when you are, as you have many, many times over the years, talking to people as a motivator and trying to help them to be more strategic in their thinking, So again, because it's case by case, I can't ask you to define, what everybody should do because, again, it's individual. But when you're advising people and coaching them on how to think strategically, how to move strategically, what are you ultimately trying to get them to wrestle with? What are you trying to get them to do, Les?
We have something that we must do every day as a people, and that is be on alert. We have to keep our guard up. We can't let our guard down, because if we do, it can cost us. It can cost us our job. It can cost us our life. It can cost us many things. I have a friend named Dennis Gardner. He heads a burn unit here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, what are some of the stories that you've heard that just shocked you? He said, there's a young lady in the class that she was burned over 90% of her body. And I said, how did that happen to her? I know what happened to you. He said she was at a red light, and the light changed, and there was a car in front of her. And she just tooted her horn. And the guy got out of the car, young guy, and opened his trunk and came to the side of her car and threw some gasoline on her and set her on fire. And he said, people asked her, why did you run? She said, hell, I had no idea he was doing that. And when he was coming with a gas of gasoline, I had no idea. That changed her life. This lady has not been out in public for probably 5 years. And Dennis, who used to work for me, he said, I'm among 9 million people who have gone through the tragedy of being burned over 90% of their body, and they're unrecognizable. And I didn't come out until I started working for you 2 years after staying in the house. But in that moment, her life was changed. We're living in a time now that we got to be on guard. Every day we got to watch. Why? We got to be vigilant. Why? Because if you don't, it could cost you your life. There was a guy inside of a drugstore here in Atlanta, and he bumped into a lady who happened to be a psychiatrist, and he said, excuse me? And she didn't say anything. She just backed up. And two little black boys said to this tall brother, hey, man, you're tall. And he took their lives. All they said was, hey, man, you are tall. And he shot him. And so this is a time that we have to be on a high alert, because with all the things that's going on in terms of the pandemic, in terms of the economy, in terms of politics, in terms of racism, and all the different layers of stress that we're dealing with, that most people are not playing with a full deck right now. And we have to be conscious and keep an alert and keep our guard up and be mindful, thoughtful, and intelligent on how we interact with people, particularly people that we don't know and situations that crop up that we did not expect.
Mm-hmm. In terms of advancing one's career goals, advancing one's career opportunities, when you're coaching people about how to be strategic in those instances, what are you trying to get them to focus on?
I get them to focus on, number one, how can you make yourself indispensable in the place that you are?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make it today, and you're a person of color or people who in the dominant culture might look at you as a minority, you've got to provide more service than you get paid for, and you still might not be advanced. But you want to be able to develop a level of versatility so that you can be able to have an exit plan, to develop a skill set so that you can have walk-away money. Sometimes, and I love this quote by Marion White, in life when we don't have enough courage or insight to know that we've outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on us. Had I not been fired from WVKO radio station, you and I would not be having this conversation now. That caused me to reinvent myself and create another chapter with my life. And so to me, every time some adversarial situation takes place in my life, I get excited because I said on the other side of this adversity, on the other side of this setback or rejection, there is a blessing waiting for me to take advantage of it, and I'm hungry to get it.
Yep. That requires your phone line, Les, is not the best today. I started out my show 3 hours ago complaining about somebody's phone line. Here I am, my third hour, complaining about somebody's phone line.
Wow.
It just ain't my day today. That said,
is that right? Well, we're not going to claim that. Let me change phones. We got to have a commercial break. I got another phone. Homie ain't short on phones.
let me finish this. We'll go to the bottom of the hour and see if we can't fix it. I love the line. No, homie ain't short on phones. Anyway, let me ask this question now. What you just said a moment ago about this attitude you have, that when you find yourself, and I'm just paraphrasing, but you find yourself deep in some mess, you get excited because you know that on the other side of it is going to be an opportunity. That's a lot easier said than done. You're 78 now, as you said. There's a maturity that you've grown into that has allowed you to arrive at this place. So for those of us who are not as mature, for those of us who have not lived as much life, for those of us who have not achieved the age of 78, what say you about how we can mature to understand and to view our own situations in that way? That when something bad happens to us, something ugly envelops us, that we start to realize that on the other side of this, there will be an opportunity.
I've been doing this for years, not just at 78.
Yeah.
When I was younger, what I realized, all things work together for good for those who love God. Every day won't be a good day, but there's some good in every day. I learned from my mother that when she was fired from the M&M cafeteria, Mama, she'd start selling sweet potato pies, slices for a dime. She ironed neighbors' clothes. She taught me through her example of being resourceful and being entrepreneurial, through her example that she didn't let that break her, being fired because she could no longer carry those big pots or clean homes on Miami Beach because of her arthritic knees. But she taught me that in things in life, they might bend you, but they don't have to break you. You have the power to make the decision of how you're going to handle what life throws at you.
Yeah, it's not an easy lesson to learn. It takes some time, and I think that's just true, Les. That there's certain things in life that just take time to learn. You said earlier in this master class some days ago that experience is not the best teacher. People always use that line. Experience is the best teacher. Les Brown says no. Experience is not the best teacher. Wisdom is a much better teacher. If you can learn the lesson without having to endure it, that's a whole lot better oftentimes than having to experience it. And yet I underscore the point that the place of safety and security and confidence that Les has now arrived at, which is to say that when things happen to him that may not be of his liking, he realizes almost immediately that on the other side of this, there's going to be an opportunity for me to grow, for me to advance, for me to elevate. It just takes some living sometimes to learn these lessons, but I digress. You're listening to You Gotta Be Hungry with Les Brown exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580 as he continues his month-long radio residency. Yesterday's master class was entitled How to Find Peace in the Midst of the Storm. Today we're talking about how to maintain sanity in an insane world when we come forward. We'll continue our conversation after news and traffic and sports with the motivator, Les Brown, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden says the world won't look the other way as Russia wages war on Ukraine. While speaking from Warsaw, Poland, the president said the world continues to rally together to back Ukraine as the invasion gets ready to hit the one-year mark. California Assembly member Dr. Corey Jackson has introduced a bill that would no longer allow the use of police canines. Jackson says the dogs have been the mainstay in America's history of racial bias and violence against Black Americans and people of color. Queen Latifah will host the NAACP Image Awards this weekend. In a statement, she said it's an honor to assume hosting duties. She added the awards are a night to celebrate Black excellence and Black contribution. The show will air Saturday on various networks, including BET and CBS. In celebrity birthdays, singer Nina Simone was born on this day in 1933. Also born on this day in 1940, civil rights icon and Congressman John Lewis. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Heavy traffic now on the 101 northbound from 1st Street up to the 110. 101 south slowing into downtown, Western Avenue toward Echo Park Avenue. In Sherman Oaks, that 405 South Drive, busy out of the valley from Burbank Boulevard down to Moraga Drive. And if you're headed north out of South Bay, 405 is busy from Century Boulevard to National Boulevard.
It's a probiotic party at Whole Foods Market. Get 2 GT's kombuchas for just $5.40 with Prime through February 21st. Try every zesty, fruity flavor and your gut will thank you later. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
Is this the tether?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Utah Jazz officially waived Russell Westbrook late Monday afternoon, clearing the way for the Clippers to finalize contract talks with the 9-time NBA All-Star. Westbrook announced his intentions to sign with the Clippers after agreeing to a buyout with Utah. Chicago, Washington, and Miami were interested in Westbrook, but the 34-year-old guard preferred the Clippers. Top 5 men's college basketball teams in this week's AP rankings: Houston, Alabama, Kansas, UCLA, and Purdue. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron from Original Taco Pete's here, inviting you to our newest location at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw for Taco Tuesday, only $175. Call 323-348-4441 to order.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all of the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to lunch for 10, sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to submit your office to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you're just like our staff, putting in many hard, smart working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. Sponsored by John O'Groats family-owned restaurant and johnogroats.us. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Even a single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take all kinds of forms: psychological, emotional, physical, economic, and sexual abuse. Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. Genesee also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal help. If you need services or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 800-479-7328. That's 800-479-7328. Or visit genesee.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey! I'm Tavis Smiley, glad to have you tuned in to KBLA Talk 1580. Trying to tee this up right quick on my phone. Breaking news before we get back to Les Brown and his conversation today. As part of his month-long radio residency, You've Got to Be Hungry. Today's theme is how to maintain sanity in an insane world. And speaking of an insane world, we are told now, moments ago, that a jury in Georgia has recommended multiple indictments The names have not as yet been released, but the New York Times is reporting that this jury in Atlanta, where Les Brown is live on the phone right now, Fannie Willis, the DA, as you know, the sister DA in Fulton County, has been on this case for quite some time now. Special grand jury investigating election interference by former President Donald J. Trump and his allies in Georgia have recommended indictments of multiple people on a range of charges in its report. Again, those names remain sealed, but we are told by the jury forewoman who did an interview today, exclusive interview, that they have, in fact, recommended multiple indictments. Asked whether the jurors had recommended indicting Mr. Trump, the jury forewoman gave a cryptic answer. I quote, "You're not going to be shocked. It's not rocket science," close quote. She added, quote, "You won't be too surprised," close quote. So, cryptic answer about whether or not, in fact, Donald Trump is on the list of persons, multiple persons, who they have recommended to be indicted. But it won't be much longer now when those names will be publicly revealed. But we do know, once again, breaking news, that this jury, this grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, has recommended that multiple persons be indicted in this case. So we shall see, again, the coming days if Donald Trump is on that list. But at this point, it is just a matter of time before we learn all the names on the list. But sharing that breaking news with you right now here on KBLA Talk 1580. Back to our conversation with the motivator, Les Brown, whose theme today is how to maintain sanity in an insane world. I was saying before that break, Les, that you've arrived at a place of maturity where when things happen to you that are a bit strange and off-putting, you've learned to see on the other side and to know that something good is going to come out of it. There'll be some opportunity on the other side. But you were talking earlier about this notion of reinventing yourself, and it seems to me that the one thing.
Yeah, but I want to inject something here.
Sure, sure.
You said breaking news. Let me share with you how I got from where I was in Miami, being labeled educable mental retarded, failing twice in school, no college training, to being selected among the top 5 speakers in the world. I do not care anything about what you just said, because it's not going to put any money in my pocket. I will not listen. I will not be waiting with great anticipation. I'm working on several deals today that will generate over $300,000 today. A lot of people work for a whole month and don't earn that. In order to maintain sanity in an insane world, you got to ignore the distractions of what's going on in the news. Ignore the distractions of things that will take you off your game. Ignore the things that don't pour into you and help you to become fortified, knowledgeable, and expand your capacity to carve out a place for yourself in the economy so that you can control your destiny. I don't care who gets indicted or who don't get indicted, because that does not help me at all.
Okay.
Can you feel a brother up in here, up in here? But I understand you doing your job as a news person and sharing information, and you do what you do. Okay, thank you.
No. You know what's funny? I appreciate that point. On a certain level, I could care less either. On the other hand, one of the things that we talk about all the time around here is that we have to, at some point, live in a country that will be as good as its promise. And part of the promise of this country is that all of us are created equal and will be treated as equal. And while I don't have any particular axe to grind, I don't particularly wish Donald Trump or anybody else bad days in their future, I do believe in accountability. And so I care to the extent that the person who ran the country is going to be held as accountable ultimately, hopefully, as Letitia or Jamal. And that, on that level, in terms of equity and fairness and justice, I do care, while I, in fact, take your points. I don't see it as either or. I see it as both and. I could not give that much a care about it, but at the same time, not wanting to distract me and care about accountability. I don't see those things as mutually exclusive, but I digress. It's your program, it's your show, and I take your point. What I'm trying to get to, though, that does matter to me and does matter to this audience, is this notion of reinventing oneself, and I want you to say a word about that.
Take control of your mind. We have so many distractions today. There are people who were just cheering LeBron when he broke Kareem Jabbar's record. Oh, my God, he did it. But they have no records in their own lives. And when you take control of your mind, what you do is you come from among the majority of people and how they think and buy into the entertainment that keeps us distracted and begin to help us to use our time and our energy to elevate our thinking. There's something else that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said that I love very much. Mm-hmm. She said, and we've all heard the saying, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. However, she says also true that you can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. And the issue that we're facing right now is never going to be a free world, a fair world. Racism ain't going nowhere. And the people that have broken through, the people that have overcome, the people that were able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat were thinkers. They thought, they figured it out. And that's what you did. That's why you are where you are. You figured it out. You decided that no, it doesn't matter what has happened to me and what others are trying to do to me. I'm a thinker, and I'm going to create something bigger and better and have national and global impact because you're a thinker. And so when we look at ourselves and look at our goals and dreams, one of the things that in order to maintain a level of sanity in an insane world, Socrates said, he said, know thyself. But most people who don't elevate their thinking and get to know themselves will always be controlled and manipulated by people who do. And so doing the work on ourselves is so crucial. That's very important, and not buying into all the things that's around us. That's always competing for our attention. That's why they call this the attention economy.
Yeah. When it's one thing to tell people to elevate their thinking, it's great advice, and I receive it, and I'm sure the audience receives it. We have to elevate our thinking. Let me ask you what you put in that toolbox. When people ask you specifically, Les, what are the exercises, what are the activities, what are the things that you suggest that I do to elevate my thinking? How do you answer that question?
I remember listening to a lecture by a guy named Brian Tracy. He said the average American reads one book a year. He said if you just read one book a month, in 5 years, if the average American is reading one book a year and you read one book a month, you've read 60 books, and the average American would read 5 books. I decided to read 3 books a month. So I went from earning $80,000 a year at WVKO radio station to earning $125,000 an hour because of the knowledge that I've acquired over the years when I speak in the United States, $225,000 an hour when I speak outside of the United States because I was willing to invest my time and energy in elevating my knowledge and my skill set. All of us are one skill set, one level of elevating our knowledge from taking total control of our future. You knew nothing. You never did anything to start a radio station, but you figured it out. You used your mind to create something different and something that we need right now. And what we need now are thinkers. What we need now are people that are inspired and motivated and realize that you have something special. You were chosen out of 400 million sperm. God had something in mind, put something in you. That gift will make room for you, and you must put in the time and effort to develop it. And the only way that you are able to discover that person that you're supposed to become is when you're willing to put up a good fight to work through the challenges and the adversities where life will say to you, show me what you got.
How to maintain,
show me what you got.
How to maintain sanity in an insane world. You're listening to You've Got to Be Hungry with the motivator, Les Brown, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward. The Millionaires Roundtable with Lynn Richardson is creating millionaires one family, one day, $1, one dime at a time. KBLA Talk 1580 will be celebrating Black History Month Wealth with Lynn Richardson live on Wednesday, February 22nd at the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon in Leimert Park. Come check out the space. This location has been a bank branch for over 44 years and is now a community center. It provides resources and education to help the community with money goals, home ownership, and entrepreneurship. You and a guest can win lunch with Lynn Richardson February 22nd. Go to KBLA1580.com or the KBLA 1580 mobile app today and register. See you there.
The California Legislative Black Caucus's Black History Month itinerary. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. From movie screenings to award shows, the month of February is busy for the California Legislative Black Caucus. Starting February 17th, the application for the 2023 African American Leaders for Tomorrow opens. On the 27th, the State Capitol Assembly and Senate floors will be full of events from noon until 4, starting with the meet and greet with author Bryant Terry, presentations on Black food, stories, arts, and recipes from across the African diaspora. If this sounds like a good time, visit blackcaucus.legislature.ca.gov.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you have questions for Les Brown, who will wrap his radio residency next Tuesday, the last day of Black History Month, Tuesday the 28th, head to our website, KBLA1580.com. Click on the Ask Les icon and submit your question, or go to our app and use the open mic feature and send us an audio version of your question, and we'll get it to Les Brown either way. Les, watching our time here, I want to get this question in before we wrap today's lesson, which is entitled How to Maintain Sanity in an Insane World. You were talking a moment ago about elevating our thinking and figuring out new ways to advance the things that matter to us, particularly when the world comes at us furiously, and the things that we thought we were doing get upended, and we have to find ways to reinvent ourselves. We were talking, again, a moment ago about reinventing yourself and how to think your way through that process. This question for you, Les, how do I bring my idea to fruition while protecting my intellectual capital?
I'm so glad you asked me that question. I did a seminar called Discover Your Power Voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I went online, and I did the research to find out what I needed to do to protect it. The websites that I got, getting it trademarked nationally and internationally. Everything we want right now, it's available in our fingertips. And I found out through doing research online how to create a non-disclosure agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So before you talk to somebody about your deal or this invention or this idea that you have them sign a non-disclosure. And if they try and go out into the marketplace and steal it from you, then you can sue them. The Mickey Mouse came as a result of a cartoon that Walt Disney came up with named Elmer, and somebody stole the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought about Mickey Mouse. And so he didn't focus on what was taken from him, but he focused on what do I do now? And he won the battle just 3 years ago from his grave. He said, I want you to sue them until I get Elmer back. And his family got it back.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, to your point, he's been dead. Walt Disney's been dead for years, but he left instructions before he died to not give up on the fight to get back my original composition, my original idea, And they fought that fight all these decades, Les.
Absolutely. And this brings me to the point. Years ago, there's a group called the Dramatics, and they used to say, what you see is what you get. And when you look at how do you maintain sanity in an insane world, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the news? Are you looking at television? Are you looking at what's the purpose and meaning of our life? It was one great philosopher who said the two most important days in our lives, the day that we're born and the day we realize why we're born. When you are focused on reinventing yourself, elevating your knowledge, developing strategic relationships with people that's going in the direction of where you're going, there's no room for insanity. There's no room for depression. There's no room for being depressed. You got to keep it moving. My mother went through hell raising 7 children she didn't give birth to, and I only found out 8 years after her death that she had breast cancer for years, but we never knew it. She kept it moving. She kept doing what she needed to do to raise those kids that she didn't bring into the world, but she told my birth mother, I will take good care of them. And so right now, the things that stress us out, the things that cause us to get off center, and there's no question that mental illness is real and depression is real, and we need psychiatrists and psychologists, but the majority of people don't have a sense of purpose. When you know what it is you're supposed to do, and you are focused on that, and you're keeping the main thing, you are able to convert all the things that life will throw at you into a victory, into something that you can be proud that you got on the other side of it. That's how we grow in this thing called life.
Our remaining moments with the motivator, Les Brown, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Black LA's only destination for unarmed truth and unconditional love. The time for silence has passed. The time to speak is now. At KBLA Talk 1580. We're listening. Not just during Black History Month, but every day of the year.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Interrogating your assumptions and expanding your inventory of ideas. Let's get back to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Got about 3 minutes left in today's conversation with the motivator Les Brown as part of this this daily program. You've got to be hungry. Today's theme is how to maintain sanity in an insane world. I was saying to someone the other day, Les, in conversation, that if you think it's hard being an adult these days, try being a child. And the point I was making and driving to is that for children, there are so many distractions. It's a lot easier said than done these days to tell kids to be focused because there are so many distractions in the world in which we live. So again, if you think it's tough being an adult, try being a child. But you're mostly talking right now, of course, to adults. And I want to close on this note that you've raised a few times in this conversation about staying focused. Again, a lot easier said than done. But if we're going to maintain our sanity in an insane world, we have to understand how to stay focused, to keep the main thing. As you say, how do you do that, though?
We have to cultivate in ourselves and our children to become strategic in their behavior and in their thinking. There's a young man by the name of Orrin Hudson, and he lives here in Atlanta, and he has an organization called Be Somebody. He teaches young people how to become chess players, how to be strategic. Young people have the ability to take on responsible behavior. We have a 12-year-old little kid from Haiti who became a grandmaster. Come on. He disciplined himself. Kids, when they have those tablets, I've looked at my grandchildren, and my children, they limit the time that my grandchildren spend on these tablets. They can be there all day. They're focused. It's a choice. And so what we have to do is discipline ourselves to do the things that we need to do. And I'm going to tell you what I thought about when I left, and the oncologist said to me, Mr. Brown, you got a clean bill of health. You know what I thought about? What are the things that I need to do now to die a life of no regrets? Two things I'm focused on, Tavis. One, taking care of myself. I'm going to die one day, but I don't want it to be my fault. Okay? So I'm going to do the things I need to do to take care of myself. But the other thing is, I'm very clear. I've written it down. The things that I want to do before I leave here. I'm 78. There are people calling me about a lot of stuff. But you call and I answer because I respect you and what you stand for. And it gives me a chance to speak to people who don't usually hear my voice. Over 90% of my audience are white or corporations, people around the world, because they know the message that I bring. When they look at the white speakers, they say, if he can do it, I can do it. But when they hear me and they see me, they say, if he can do it, I know I can do it. Let me get the hell out of here now.
Yeah, if that Negro can do it, then I know I can do it. I take your point. I take your point. And I take your point that you just laid down, and I'm picking it up. I love that line. I hope you heard it. Focus is a choice. Like so many other things in life, focus is a choice. You have the agency to choose to be focused, to reinvent yourself, and to elevate your thinking. And that is the lesson that comes courtesy of the motivator, Les Brown, today in this master class entitled How to Maintain Sanity in an Insane World. Les, I want to close by celebrating you, as I'm sure all of our listeners are. We call it a praise report. That was a praise report from your oncologist today, and it's good news to you and good news to all of us who love you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Bye for now. Bye for
now. Until tomorrow. You've been listening to The Motivator, Les Brown, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. His class every day is called You've Got to Be Hungry. And if you missed it at 11 a.m. Pacific time, check it out at 6 p.m. Pacific time, certainly in L.A. on your way home from work. But Les back here again tomorrow, as he will be every weekday through next Tuesday, the 20th of February, the last day of Black History Month. But we are grateful for this master class being taught by Les Brown, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The EPA is ordering Norfolk Southern to pay for all the cleanup associated with a toxic train derailment earlier this month in East Palestine, Ohio.
Norfolk Southern will clean up all contamination in soil and water and safely transport that contamination to the appropriate location.
Black Administrator Michael Regan promised to hold the rail company accountable.